Thank you very much for joining us once again. My name is Carlton Scovia Nakamia. Thank you for joining her story. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for calling upon everyone to join the platform. We are battling the coronavirus pandemic, and I know everyone is a victim. But we have people at the front line. These are journalists. Today I'm joined by Zahara Namuli. She's a Ugandan journalist at the front line of this battle. Zahara, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Carlton, and I am glad to be part of her story today. I've been following your YouTube channel quite often.
Where do you get the courage to report about this pandemic when everyone is scared?
Coronavirus and being a journalist. You know, what drives me is making something out of every scenario that I encounter. I am a health reporter. Unfortunately, I am the only one, like permanent there, health reporter with NBS Television.
You specialize in health.
So I specialize in health and science reporting. So when coronavirus, before we even had our first case,
Yes.
but when cases were being reported across the globe, it was here, and my colleagues used to make fun of it. Zahara, it is coming. Are you ready? So when I think Kenya got its first case,
Yeah.
some of our colleagues got leave, you know. So here
Running
I was.
away from the pandemic?
Not really. I think it was planned. For most people, actually, it was planned leave.
Okay.
But it was coming at a time when the pandemic was actually here. So I asked myself, should I also put in my leave form? So one of my colleagues, Solomon Seranja, actually told me, do you have to go?
The thing is coming.
It is coming, and it is you that we know. You have to go. I thought about it, and I was like, there will be people out there waiting for my story as Zahara Namuli from everywhere, from, on coronavirus in
Yes.
Uganda, should it come. And that's what has kept me here. I have not taken leave. I work 6 to 7 days a week, but I am here. And I should say I'm enjoying it. It's quite fun.
Really?
Yes, because I have gotten used to the scare that I do take all precautions. So we are learning new things, new opportunities, new windows are opening. So you have to tell me you're not enjoying Carlton?
Personally, I'm not enjoying it. It's too much pressure around it.
Yes, the pressure is there, but I always try to make good of every bad thing that happens. Because it's here, you don't know when it is going. So, and you cannot keep yourself locked up because you don't know when it is going, and what if it doesn't go?
And actually, you have to serve.
You have to serve a population. So many people are looking out. Even your family members will actually call you and ask you, what is there today? So if you cannot serve your family members, your first audience, then what about those other people that see you, hear from you, but actually are not that close to you? So we have to stick there.
Zahara, very many journalists have been infected. Actually, some of them have died. Are you not scared of reporting about this pandemic?
That's it. It is scaring, very scaring. The last time I did a story on one of the families that had gotten cured of Covid-19, the Kayunga family. This is a woman who came from Rwanda, went home in Kayunga, Bali, and unfortunately infected the husband. They had 4 children, 3 and 1 was about 8 months. I did their interview at Entebbe Referral Hospital when they were being discharged. Believe me, it was a hard situation because earlier on everyone thought that the people who were getting infected or those who were coming out positive were people who were coming from abroad. So here was a family. The lady had just traveled to Rwanda, came back and tested positive, infected the family. They were nearly lynched in the community, but here they were getting ready to go back to that community. It's emotional.
The same community?
The same community that refused them, denied them, was the same community where they had to go back. They did not have clothes. The parents and the older children were discharged in hospital attire. The 8 months baby, I personally saw medical workers at Entebbe Referral Hospital soliciting money to go and buy this young baby a fitting dress.
Wow.
One, you feel the pain, you share the pain with these people. And passing by the wards of where the other patients have admitted,
isolation wards.
isolation wards, you leave the hospital and you feel like you want to go and tell the hospital director that I think I have COVID too. There is this emotion of these people.
Is it trauma that psychologically?
It's trauma. I
I
try to read about it, and it is actually normal. Though when it goes to the extremes, you have to seek medical care, but it's trauma. You know, you leave a hospital and that's the very minute you feel like you have flu, you have cough, you feel like your temperature is up, you get all the visible signs of COVID-19. It's traumatizing because of what you've seen, because of what your doctor friends are telling you, the nurses. Amidst this, I give credit to mostly the hygienists, the people cleaning those rooms. It takes a whole lot of courage for them to do it. So when they tell you what they see in those rooms, and here you are searching for information, at some time you feel like bowing out, but then you can't go. You came for the story, you need to look for it, get it. It's hard.
So you tell me you sometimes get traumatized. Then I ask myself, what keeps you moving?
I have an audience to serve. I am a health reporter, and one, I do not want to stop at that. Being a health reporter does not make you a doctor. You know, your friends will call you up, they have a problem and they want you to refer them to a specialist. But I think that's not enough. I personally want to pursue a master's in public health. My career opened admission. I want to apply before the deadline is in May, actually this month. I want to apply. So I have something that is pushing me. I have I have targets to meet as a person. So because I know there are people who need this information, I know the more information I gather, this will help me as I pursue my master's, should I go for it. Because it's one thing to like to do it, and it's another to actually do it. So I know when I enroll for my MPH, I will need all the background information, all the background support in journalism to be able to get successful there. Yes.
Zahara, you have a family. You interact with patients. You access very risky areas. How do you protect your family?
It goes with a lot of reading, a lot of inquiring, you end up asking so many questions. Dr. Atek Kajirita, I owe all the little information I know about COVID-19 to him. He's now the deputy COVID-19 incident manager. I would ask him literally everything. If I'm going to the supermarket, what do I have to do? If I'm going here, what do I have to do? So there is a leaflet he shared with me of how you can protect yourself and your family members. That's what I first wanted to know before I even thought about protecting myself. So one thing that from the leaflet he shared with me is how you dispose of clothes that you were wearing, if you need to, how you clean them, because you have to so that in case if you have carried this virus with you home, the other people do not get in contact with it. I avoid as much as possible to touch the doorknobs or the door handles.
So they have to open for you.
So when I reach home, when we are dropped by the company car, for example, when I'm still in the car, I'll call the home line and tell them to tell their askari to open for me. And after that, I'll sanitize my phone because I know my son will need the phone immediately. So I have to sanitize, then sanitize both my phones. And the phone is also a trick because when I give my child my phone, he will not cry to come and be carried as soon as I enter the house.
Can't you restrict your son from your phone?
Sometimes actually he's not using the phone for anything. But just, before COVID, when people come back home, you welcome them home and help them carry what they've come along with. So this is something that I do not want him to forget because it's painful. You reach home and you've come back with your tomatoes and bread and there's no one welcoming you, so that kind of culture. So I'll give him my phone, not to play with it because he can't open it. It has a lock. So I'll give him my phone just for him to settle and give me time to, one, remove these clothes I was wearing, remove my shoes, go take a bath, then I come back to join the rest of the team in the house. So it's a trick. By good luck, when I reach home and he's asleep, it's easy. Sometimes I even don't have to call. I'll find the Askari knows sometimes what time I get home, so the gate will be open. I'll reach home. When I reach on the door, I do not knock. I make sure I don't touch anything. We have metallic rails at the entrance. I don't touch them because I have been told the virus stays longer on the surface. So I'll use my shoe or my feet. I put off my shoes, use my leg to knock. So I literally kick the door. That's what I should say. So when they open for me, then no one touches me. No one runs after the things I have carried. For the adults, so I'll first let them know which are the safe things for them to carry, then remind them to wash their hands. Then I'll go, put off my clothes. If I can, when I'm not so tired, I'll wash my clothes overnight, such that I do not have the virus in the house if I had come with it, for the next day. Or maybe for the person who will wash the clothes anyway, so that's the easiest way I can protect them.
What kind of protection do you apply?
We have been told the trick lies in the face masks. So I make sure I have the surgical masks or the mini N95 if I can afford it at that particular time, and the gloves. We do not have a lot of the wear, but I've seen in the international media, some of them have those, but we do not have those protective gears in the country. And if you're to buy them, you either have to buy them online. I have heard of some companies that have started making them locally here. Maybe as time goes on, we will have to reach out to them and see how much each of those, the dress-like protective gears costs. So apparently I have to carry my gloves in the bag, I have to carry my masks in the bag, I have to carry my sanitizer in the bag. And when I reach where I'm going, then that determines, do I use the mask and which mask do I use? Because I have the cloth material masks. Those are washable. You can wash it and use it the next day. Then I have these surgical masks, which I have to use in the hospitals if I'm going there, or in a crowded place. Not really crowded because there are no crowds, but sometimes you go for a press conference and you're like 10 people in a room. So I cannot trust anyone. You have to use that appropriate mask in such a place. So that's how I try to make sure that I keep safe and the wears.
Personally, people tell me you interact with a lot of patients, you access so many risk areas, so don't get closer to me, you'll infect me. Have you ever received that kind of stigma?
Yes, my workmates actually tell me, "Bwetuli funayo mulwadde wano, gw'oliba omulwazi." That literally mean if NBS ever reports a positive case from here, it's you who will have infected them. So with that kind of, sometimes they are jokes, but they are serious jokes because I have to protect them. At the end of the day, I am more exposed.
But then you don't have control over their movements.
But I don't have control over their movements. Actually, that's exactly what I keep telling them. I am doing my best, but are you doing your best? We work in shifts. So I tell them, if during your the shift when you're not working, are you keeping at home? Or you're actually loitering everywhere? Because that then means when you get infected, you don't have to blame me, but it's hard to prove. So it's really hard to prove. But I try as much as possible. Actually, I keep reminding them, if you're not working tomorrow, please make sure you stay indoors. I don't want you to say I've infected you when you finally get sick. And maybe, actually, it's funny. Science may find me negative and you positive. So then whom do you blame? You get it.
It's coming to 2 months, you're reporting about COVID. When you tell me about the trauma you get when you interact with the patients, when you access the isolation facilities, I ask myself, have you got any psychosocial support?
I didn't think I need it. But then I think I need it. We've become so used to the internet that sometimes we think it's our first point of medical reference. It's wrong, but that's what many of us do. So while I was trying to find out if other journalists felt the way I felt, I found write-ups actually. People were saying they also feel the same, but have been told it's normal. So I also think it is normal.
I think mentally it's not normal.
Yeah, it is not.
It has an impact on your mental well-being.
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking, I have several friends into counseling, so I was thinking if I wanted to study and see how it goes from the last story I covered. So I want to see how it goes. If it gets worse, then I don't have to wait. And by the way, the problem with mental health challenges, you may never know that you've become worse. You may want somebody else to tell you that, Zahara, you know what, you've either become too rude, too arrogant.
You're breaking down.
You're breaking down. That's the problem with mental health challenges. When you still see that you're okay, some other people may be seeing the difference.
Judging at your level, has the media played its role as far as COVID is concerned?
Yes. 3 weeks ago, we were doing more of the scary stories. The stories that we had were of a new case, another positive case. This country has lost this many people. These ones have recovered. These ones have been reinfected. It becomes scaring to the people that we are serving, to our audiences. But I like the trend now. People are looking at more positive stories, talking to the people who have recovered. It gives some ray of hope to those still admitted, those waiting for their relatives, and that kind of. Then we are doing stories of, I saw a story from Hoima of the old man who was cleaning the isolation unit when they still had a positive case.
I watched it.
So when you look at such stories, it gives hope, you know. Then there is a story of the nurses. One is from Lira or Arua, I'm not so sure. Then the other is from Entebbe. These two nurses attended to the first index case, the first case Uganda got, using those thermometers at the airport. You know, when you hear such stories, it also gives hope, mostly to the people who have decided to keep hiding. You know, they tell you here is a man, he only came with a high temperature and loss of appetite. If the health workers at the airport had told this man to go, you never know where our problem will be now as a country. So I like the trend that we are taking as journalists, and I really do commend it.
COVID is still with us. No one is very sure when we shall get over it. What is your last message to the female journalists and everyone at the front line?
What you see other people doing, you can do it as a person. So to the women out there, you can be a journalist, and you can be that journalist that you always watch out for. But it takes a whole lot of commitment for you to do this, passion, and God above all, you know. So I no longer want to hear women saying, will I manage? Will I be able to do that? Why shouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Okay? So women can do as much as men do. I don't want to take this as a statement that any other person says. You know, people will tell you women do as much as, but you can only do this, one, when you take your first step to do it, and two, when you put your whole to it. You can do it, and do it better than any other, including the women that you've been actually looking up to in the media fraternity.
Have our media houses been supportive in this pandemic?
Maybe what's the painful part is for the female journalists who would have wanted to be at the front line but cannot do it because their media houses have not supported them. That's the only challenge. Many of them wanted to, but the media houses have not maybe provided transport, the protective wear, you know, and the energy, because you cannot do a story when even your editors are scared of the story you're going to bring. At the end of the day, they would tell you, don't go for that story, maybe go and do this other story, because either they are scared or something like that. So what I have seen is many of the female journalists have not been supported to participate, to be able to explore, to be able to show how much more they can do in the media fraternity. It is painful, But I have seen several organizations come up with grants for journalists. I have seen there's an organization, Mark More Than a Mother. It has come out with grants for journalists on creating awareness, on reporting on COVID-19. I do appreciate those, but the problem is there have been limitations already that have failed these people to actually be able to benefit, because some were laid off. So if you were laid off, few people will provide grants to journalists that have been laid off, and they are there. But many of them cannot even access this. For those who are used to using company Wi-Fi, it even becomes worse because you cannot get some of this information since it's shared online. We've had webinar lectures on how to go through this COVID pandemic as a journalist, but many of them cannot access them because of limitations beyond their control. But to the female journalists that have taken part, they have not disappointed. They have put their whole to this, and they have changed the way people looked at women in journalism altogether.
Very many journalists have given up. They're real scared, but thank you very much, Zahara. I just love your courage. I just love your energy, the energy you use. You wake up very early in the morning, you go back home very late. I just love that energy.
We are in this together.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Zahara Namuli. This is Her Story. Please keep following, subscribe, and share this story as widely as you can.